Welcome back to Let's Get Trashed, the premier film review, YouTube, podcast, art, criticism, experience. With me is my co-host, Jimmy D.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to True Art, where we're critics break down and talk shit about art.
About art. That's the most important part.
This is the most important part of art.
Most important part. This is art. We're definitely talking about art. That's
only the most best art.
That's step one. Is that you have to accept that this is art. Whatever we're talking about, not only is it art that we're criticizing it, we're only talking about art here, folks.
You could say that what we're doing is more important than the art that is created.
I mean, yeah, I think you could very easily say that based on some of the movies.
I said it very easily. It just rolled off of the tongue.
Based on some of the movies we're talking about, you could make that argument easily.
So what are we talking about today? Today?
So we're the first off the bat today. We are going to be talking about Roland Emmerich's Moonfall, which is a 2022 movie, came out this year, a couple months ago. Was this in theaters?
I don't know. I feel like it probably could have been.
I mean,
just with the budget of this film, it had to have been pretty gnarly.
I don't know.
For it to not be in theaters.
I remember hearing about it. I looked it up. It said it came out in February. And I thought I heard about it much more recently than that. So, I don't know. But, wow. So,
what a film.
Let's talk about, before we even get into it, because we'll start off with a quick little synopsis. But before we even get to that, let's talk Roland Emmerich a little bit. Let's talk about some of his other
I don't even know who
cinematic contributions. Okay.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So, he's... as far as I remember, Emmerich has done... Oh, shit. Emmerich's done 3 films that are... He's done one film that is good-ish, and then he's got 2 other films that are watchable.
So we're really getting exactly what we thought we might get.
Dude.
What are they?
Well,
I've never heard of him. Is he a household name?
You'll have heard of him in 1 second.
Okay.
So his best film, the film that I think is actually the best, even though it's very bad and cheesy, is The Patriot, starring Mel Gibson and Heath Ledger.
Yeah, I actually like that movie.
Yeah, it's very, very it's awesome. I was all fired up about America a few months ago, and I was like 6 months ago, and I was like, I threw on The Patriot. And I was like, watching Mel Gibson be the Swamp Fox or whatever. Anytime a dad in movies goes, I've mentioned Taken on this podcast plenty of times. Anytime a dad goes off, because Joseph Gordon-Levitt is his son. Joseph Gordon-Levitt gets killed, and then Mel Gibson, he gives
Joseph. You mean Heath Ledger?
No.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt's in The Patriot?
Yeah, he's the son that gets killed. He's the young son.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, so...
Oh, wow, okay.
Heath Ledger's the 18-year-old son who goes off to war despite his dad's protestations. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is like the 13-year-old son. He gets shot He gets shot by the British forces while the evil colonels taking Heath Ledger away. And then... Mel Gibson, who didn't want to enter the war because he doesn't believe in war, because he's
already done war.
He did war. He fought in the French and Indian War, and he was fucking too savage. Everybody looks at him sideways when he walks around because of the old stories. He gave up war. He's a peaceful man. But then they shoot Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and war comes back to Mel Gibson.
Yeah, he's fucking back.
And he brings it to the British in a fucking big way, and it's awesome.
Yeah, that scene where he has his sons like on the higher
on top of the gully.
Yeah, on top of the gully, and he's just man.
And he has them shoot down. He's like you shoot, and then you load and give the next gun to your brother. They have like
aim small, miss small.
Yep, they have like 13 muskets. And then he just goes around and he kills this entire caravan of soldiers by himself. And then when he finally fine, I'm back in the war, they give him command of something, and he kills every British person he sees. He takes no prisoners. He shoots officers first. He does everything you're not supposed to, because he's like, you asked for this. I didn't want. I was happy to be the one farmer that paid black people. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
That's getting into Roland Emmerich now. Is in the movie The Patriot, in order to establish that Mel Gibson is one of the good guys, when the British come to free his slaves, they did that to all the southern farmers to piss them off.
Yeah.
Mel Gibson's farm workers go, excuse me, Mr. British sir, we're not slaves. He pays us. So, and then he's like, well, you don't have to work here anyways, so go. Like, that's what they do. But they do that. It's like, we can't have the hero of our story
also be a slave owner.
Yeah. How could we possibly do that?
Yeah.
How could my
kind of a bummer?
How could my childlike mind reconcile the two things, that maybe the protagonist of this story takes place in a time where he engages in activities that are common of the time?
Yeah.
That's the thing, that's Roland Emmerich's problem. He didn't have that problem in another movie he directed called Independence Day.
I just watched Independence Day recently.
Yeah. I've watched it a million times. Independence Day is fun. It has some of the worst dialogue I've ever heard, even though I loved that movie as a kid. Like, I literally would watch it every day. But, was it, don't be shooting that green shit at me?
Yeah, Will Smith.
Sucks.
Peak Will Smith.
Actually, most Will Smith lines, Will Smith is bad. Will Smith's dialogue is awful in that movie. And then, Welcome to Earth, that's bad. He punches out the outfit. It doesn't even knock out. Don't forget, there's an alien underneath. The real alien's inside.
Yeah, inside the alien.
He knocks out his outfit. Or his suit.
His outfit.
He doesn't even. That's how hard that single punch was. It went all the way through his carapace or whatever.
It's like Idris Elba in the new trailer of Beast punching the lion. Have you seen that?
No, I've seen the trailer. I don't remember that. I don't remember that
he
moment
punches
of it.
a lion in the trailer.
Anyway, everybody is boiled down to these very simplistic caricatures of a human being, and we see that in spades in Moonfall.
Yeah,
I mean, it's insane how Little Death, what Roland Emmerich considers to be nuance, is embarrassing.
Yeah. I know. I think I know what you're talking about. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but yeah, there's plenty of dialogue examples of just how it's almost like dialogue you would have in a dream. Like when you're having a dream and it's just a forced moment you're having with a loved one in a dream where it's like, I always loved you and I always will, and then it's just the next scene of a different part of a dream. There's no before dialogue or something,
Yeah.
Or I don't know.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's everything is stilted. It's just words being said to kind of get us to the next thing.
Yes.
And there's no space. Nobody thinks about anything they might be saying in this movie. There's not a single beat taken. Everybody just starts espousing. Honestly, they should have done this. This movie should have been a podcast where they just look at the camera the whole time and talk directly to the audience, because
it's that obvious.
Almost every line is delivered. I'm watching this movie Moonfall, going like, "Who are you telling her? Or are you telling me?" Including, I mean, Donald Sutherland has one of the most embarrassing lines in this movie. Whatever. So
is he in this movie?
Oh,
wait,
yeah.
when?
He's the old man in a wheelchair.
Okay.
We'll get to him in a second.
Yeah, go for it.
So let's do our little Let's do our little plot synopsis. Patrick Wilson, actor Patrick Wilson. He plays Brian, whatever the hell.
Brian Astronaut.
Yeah, he plays Brian Astronaut. He's on an astronaut team with Halle Berry and some other person we don't know.
The guy, he's from Game of Thrones. Yeah, he's like know. That's what he's famous for.
Anyway, something goes wrong. They're fixing a satellite 10 years ago. Something back when the space shuttle was being still in use. Something goes wrong. Patrick Wilson sees this crazy thing. It kind of like attacks him, and and then the third guy dies. The guy we don't know, he dies.
Oh, sorry. No, that's not the guy from Game of Thrones. That's just a throwaway guy that dies immediately.
Okay, yeah. Well, then that guy dies, and then Halle Berry hits her head, so she's unconscious. He gets back into the thing, and he takes the space shuttle home, and he saves her. Patrick Wilson. He's our hotshot pilot. There's one line of dialogue, like background dialogue, that gives us a lot of important information later that they don't like really stay on a lot. But he one time landed the shuttle when, at the height of catastrophe, when everything was done, all the electronics were out.
Yeah,
the shuttle was dead in the air, and he landed it successfully.
Analog style.
Yeah, that's what made him hotshot space pilot.
But also blacklisted.
Well, he gets fired from NASA.
Yeah,
because somebody died. That's what they say. They say fired. Like he fired a wrongful termination suit. Like NASA's not part of like the military. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You know, but what they just said, he got fired from NASA. He got fired from being an astronaut because of this, and he's arguing. He's like, no, there's something crazy out in space. And Halle Berry is like, I was unconscious. I didn't see it. They're like, could it have been something common and normal? And she's like, I guess. And then he's like, you betrayed me. And then so he's out of NASA. He goes from being like a famous NASA pilot to
deadbeat.
His wife is divorcing him and leaving him. So his whole life falls apart. That's the other thing. Again, it can't. We don't see him go through a hard time. We don't see the stresses it puts on the relationship. We just see 18 months later, his wife is packing up their shared family home, and the kid is like, where's daddy? And she's like, he's in a motel now, son. Like,
it's just like, I guess we're moving on.
Okay, like, so it's showing us how bad it got. He lost.
We just met the guy.
Yeah, we've seen him. He's been on screen for 30 seconds.
I don't even know he's the main guy.
Exactly. I don't know who. We don't know he's the main character yet.
Yeah.
He's on screen for 30 seconds. One like sci-fi bad thing happens to him, and then he loses his job. His wife leaves him. His partner doesn't. Everything, like his son is sad.
He's has like eviction notices on his door. He's
that's the next scene, or the next time we see him.
Fucked.
He's down on his luck. And how do we show someone's down on their luck, Roland Emmerich? Well, first thing he has to do, he has to sleep late.
Yeah.
He sleeps past the alarm. The landlord's knocking at the door. He runs away from the landlord. And then when he comes back a little bit later, he grabs an eviction notice from his door, and then he throws it onto a pile of eviction notices that we see very clearly in frame. Each one of them says eviction notice, and they're positioned
the whole stack.
They're positioned so perfectly so that we can see there's multiple.
I don't think it works like that either.
Of course not.
Yeah.
But it's just cliche. But it's also Hollywood, because do they make him? Does he get fat? Does he whatever. No, we can't. He's still
hot.
Yeah, it's still a Hollywood movie. God forbid we let this person have any access to like reality or real consequences at all.
Also, something about the actor, I haven't seen him really in much. I think he was in Watchmen, I believe.
Okay.
I'm just trying to think, like, he's like a familiar kind of actor, but like you kind of don't remember what he's been in, you know. But you're like, yeah, you're a main character guy, I guess, and it's like, all right, moving on.
Yeah. Halle Berry, she continues on at NASA. She eventually moves on to a bureaucratic role. She becomes like the number 2. She becomes the number 2 person at NASA. She's like the assistant director of NASA now. She worked her way up from space shuttle navigator all the way to I'm the woman. I'm almost in charge of NASA. I'm behind one guy.
Yeah.
Which had me... I laughed 2 times in this film. One time intentionally, the film got a good laugh out of me. But the other time had me laughing at how idiotic this filmmaker is. It's the first time NASA realizes that something's wrong with the moon. They call Halle Berry. They have to call Halle Berry at like 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. She wakes up early in the morning. She has a work emergency. There's an outer space emergency.
Yeah,
Jimmy. And
space emergency. And get in here.
So her phone rings. Her iPhone rings. The camera. She's sleeping. The camera has her, and then her nightstand with her iPhone on it. And the camera's pointed at the iPhone, and it lights up, and in big letters, the caller ID says NASA.
Yeah. This must be important.
The caller ID in big letters on her iPhone says NASA.
She saved it correctly.
And that's it. So she answers the phone and says, "I gotta go.
Who is this?
I've got to go into work.
I got to go into NASA work."
And again, a childish.
Really spelling it out.
If you think
really spelling it out.
Yeah, if you think, and this is for people that think I'm like nitpicking or don't understand my criticism of this. She takes that phone call, says, "All right, I'll be right there." A minute later, or no, the next scene, 8 seconds later, she's at her work, which is obviously NASA. The audience could have figured it out what that was, but Roland Emmerich doesn't trust you to do that because he thinks you're as much of a dumb child as he is. So he has to put NASA in big letters on an iPhone. And also,
NASA, parentheses, where you work.
Yeah.
Where you are the assistant director.
Yeah, exactly.
In parentheses.
Yeah, exactly. NASA, parentheses, your job as assistant director.
You were an astronaut, but now you are a assistant director.
Comma, assistant director of NASA. Yeah. That's and furthermore, and the other thing is like, but so he doesn't trust you to get that, like you could put it together eventually. He wants you to know right now. But the other thing is like, how do we show that? Well, we can have it just pop up on her phone screen. But he doesn't have any idea. Everybody watching this has a job or has had a real job at some point. And if you've had a job in the age of cell phones or smartphones where you have to program stuff, first of all, your job doesn't call you. If you have a job, you have a manager, you have a supervisor, you have a manager, you have a district manager, you have an HR rep, you have your VP that might have to, VP of whatever department you're in, marketing, sales, whatever else, accounting. Mm-hmm. You might, you have different people from the company that might call you at different times for different things. Your phone doesn't just say, you don't type in the name of the letterhead company. Nobody's like, oh, I'm getting unless Ernst or Young is calling you.
Yeah.
Your phone doesn't say Ernst and Young is on the phone. It says, oh, that's Sharon. I know who Sharon is because she's my boss at whatever.
Bill's calling me.
Yeah.
This must be important.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Not NASA.
Yeah. Right.
NASA has a landline. That they go to.
Yeah, she just has like as if there's only one phone number from NASA that would be called. The assistant director is getting 1 million calls a day.
Yeah.
All related to outer space. I don't know why. I don't know. Nothing's going on in space, folks.
Yeah, it's kind of just chilling.
Thing. We don't need to go to space. There's nothing going on up there. There's no reason for this woman to be fielding dozens of calls, and she must be confused because they all just say NASA. She has no idea who's on the other end of this phone.
Yeah.
That made me laugh so hard when I saw that.
Funny.
When I saw that pop up. Anyway, so she's got to go in. They tell her the moon's all messed up. The moon's fucked up. Sorry.
Moon's broken.
Yeah.
Get in here.
This also got me good. The just the level of like we have to explain stuff to the audience that the characters in the movie should know. And again, Roland, we also know. He thinks this stuff is like above our grasp because they're explaining it, and it's like, and here's what they're like, oh, the moon's orbit's all fucked up. The moon's going to crash into Earth. It's no longer in a circle around Earth. It's in an elliptical orbit. She goes to the director of NASA, the top number one guy at NASA. She goes, the moon's in an elliptical orbit. I'm 2 at NASA. You're 1. I've got bad news. 1.
Yeah.
Mr. Head Director, the moon's in an elliptical orbit. And he goes, what does that mean? Oh, no. He doesn't say that. The director goes, she goes, the moon's in an elliptical orbit. He goes, meaning?
Yeah.
Who the fuck is this guy that doesn't know what that means?
He's like, what's a moon?
He's like, what part were you confused about, head of NASA?
Did you say moon?
Do you not know what the moon is? Do you not know what an ellipse is? Do you not know what moon's regular orbit around us looks like? I gave you, but he just goes, meaning? Like he just exasperated. And she goes, it means it's going to crash into Earth, which everybody watching this knows. I have to explain this to the audience.
The moon is falling.
Yeah, in case the audience wouldn't know. But we know. Yeah. We're not as dumb as you. We're real people. And so it's just, and then honestly,
I mean, and that could have easily worked with any other character. Like they could have had like a board of like anyone that doesn't know about space that is a part of like, you know what I mean?
My argument is that they didn't need to do it at all. My argument is that they could have just said it. The moon's in an elliptical orbit. Everybody could have looked at each other like.
That sounds bad. I think the moon is.
They could have looked. They could have looked at each other with the oh shit face, like we obviously all know this is bad. And then they could have done. If you really need to hammer it into your dumb audience's head, Roland, you could have done a dun dun dun. That a dun 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 would have been 10 times more subtle than the director. Honestly,
director of NASA.
doing the move I respect the most.
Yeah.
He goes after somebody explains to him something he should clearly know, he just immediately quits his job. He's like,
that is so
that's the
funny.
most baller
He's
move.
like, I'm fucking out of here.
That's the one thing I respect.
That was kind of tight.
He just goes, you've always wanted my job, now you can have it. And he just takes his name tag off.
Fuck this.
Yeah, he has a name tag that says boss in big letters, and he hands it to her. And now she's the boss. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about. Anyway, so now she's in charge of NASA. He quits immediately. Fucking
he's like what? We're gonna die. I'm out.
King move. Yeah. Do your job.
He's like, this is just a job. I'm fucking leaving.
Rise as high as you can in any government bureaucracy, doing nothing, and then the first time you're called on to actually prove your worth to the American taxpayers, just quit.
Yeah, just
I respect it.
That.
I respect it so much. And now we have our third character. We have the super genius nerd who works at a fast food restaurant.
Space fan.
He works as a janitor, although apparently he was just doing that to break into astronomy offices at colleges. But he works at he's a janitor, and he works as a fast food guy. He works at a drive-through pastrami sandwich restaurant, which two things. Wild choice. Why would that be
the job?
Why would that be the fast food restaurant he works at? Number one. And two, where the fuck can I find this restaurant?
Yeah.
Because I would literally, I'll buy a camper and set up in the parking lot. And just drive
Give me the pastrami.
I'll just drive it through 3 or 4 times a day. Pastrami sandwich drive through? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's fucking wild.
That's the best invention this film has. But anyway, so he has to work. He's working, which again also doesn't make sense. It's trying to how do we quickly show that this guy is not respected, even though we showed that he's smart off the bat. He's obviously really smart, but how do we show that he's a real world loser? And it's we got to give him a fast food job, which is a little disrespectful.
Yeah.
To our
it kind of is, yeah.
2 years ago they were called essential workers, Roland.
Yeah. Now they're losers.
2 years ago they were essential, and now you're back to calling them fast food losers. So, it's a little 90s of you, buddy. But the other thing is, that's just not realistic. There's plenty of brilliant computer people that are obsessed with that. Know how to use computers and do shit on computers. I'm just gonna say computers because I don't know
computer people.
I can't use any. I don't understand enough of it to talk about it.
Software engineer.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say computers, but you say whatever you want. There's plenty of those guys that are brilliant like him, and they just take. If you want to not,
you could do IT for anything.
Exactly.
Right?
If you want to not do, if you want to slack off on your job and focus on space conspiracies, you can find a million jobs where you don't have to talk to a new customer every 90 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. He's looking at his charts, and he's trying to answer phone calls and emails about outer space disasters.
Space alerts.
He's got space alerts coming in while there's a line of cars. There's an old woman
bitching at him.
Yeah, there's an old woman in the drive-thru asking him about pastrami sauce.
Yeah.
And he's looking at his phone
wait, I got a notification from the moon.
Yeah, he's looking up moon facts on his phone.
Yeah.
There's more realistic jobs he could have had. He should have been a dude in a cubicle.
Yes. Really slacking
His
off.
boss could have been like, "Where are those papers?" He's like, "Oh, I'll get it to you by tomorrow for sure." And then the camera turns around, we look at he's like, "I'm working on it right now, boss." Camera turns around, he's looking at how big is the moon.com or whatever. That's a much easier, more realistic way to show something.
Yeah.
But Emmerich, there's a word we used to use in the 90s that we can't use anymore to describe somebody who's just dumb.
Should we use it?
It's not.
Okay.
But it's not in vogue. It's been retired, much like the Space Shuttle Endeavour has. But it applies. And I wish I could just let it out.
Let it rip.
But there's just 90s words that apply to Roland Emmerich's idiotic
whole catalog
way of doing stuff. Anyway, so those are our three main characters. And we have to see how they get together and how they solve this.
How they unite.
How they solve this problem in space. All right, so what happens next?
Well, he's obsessed with, I think a key part of it, this is the wild part of this movie, is he's really obsessed with something called megastructures. So he believes that, or he has a hunch that the moon is, we learn, not really like a cratered thing. It is an empty, hollow structure that was made by aliens. That is the huge reveal of what the fuck maybe is going on up there. Yeah,
and it contains a Dyson sphere, which is a sci-fi concept. I think an Asimov invention. Mm-hmm. So anyway, this scientist nerd, fast food nerd, he's the one that that discovered it before anybody. And he goes to disgraced astronaut Patrick Wilson.
Yes.
To be like, the moon's all fucked up. And Patrick Wilson ignores him.
Moon broke.
Yeah. Patrick Wilson ignores him, and then...
He's like, who's this crazy cat?
Yeah. And then 2 days later, the news gets out.
Who's this real-world loser?
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 days later, the news gets out. Everybody panics, and Patrick Wilson's like, wait a minute. That guy gave me a bunch of papers about the moon, and I threw him into a dumpster. Let me go get him back. And, yeah, so he's doing that.
He gets the charts.
Yeah, he goes and finds the charts. And he's like, this guy is right. So he goes and finds him at his super nerd meeting.
Yes.
Of like a bunch of other crackpots. Just being silly. You know,
a bunch of who do you expect to be there kind of people.
Just like very cliche. There's the crazy old man who's very confused, who's like, he's yelling about Oswald and the CIA. He's yelling about JFK stuff when they're like, we're not talking JFK right now. We're talking the moon.
We're talking hollow moon.
We're not talking about Oswald killing Kennedy. It's also, the guy yells, Oswald did it. It's like, that's not
related.
That's not a conspiracy.
Yeah.
The conspiracy is that Oswald didn't do it.
Yeah.
So for that to be this guy's cliche line of like,
he doesn't have any conspiracy lore.
Yeah, how do we show that this is like a crazy old man who's not paying attention, and he just starts popping off about Oswald saying, how are we gonna fix the moon? Oswald did it. It's like, whoa, that's not
9/11 happened.
Oh yeah, exactly.
We know that.
Yeah. 2 planes hit the World Trade Centers and knocked the Twin Towers down.
Yep.
That's not what a conspiracy guy would say. Yeah. That's what the government...
What happened on the news is what I saw and what happened.
That's what the government told us.
Yeah. He's just a fan of the government's.
Yeah, he just...
Whatever.
Right. Yeah. So Emmerich can't even get that right. To even have a funny moment showing... But just to even display who this character is.
Bigfoot isn't real.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Loch Ness Monster is just a grainy photo of some driftwood.
It's like, I don't think you get what this group is. I don't think you understand.
Yeah. So Emmerich can't even do that right for that little thing. And then also, I mean, there's just there's so many. This is the thing is, there's too many characters in this movie, and none of them have any like depth at all. But that's how you can have so many.
Yeah. Because
we also have to see Patrick Wilson's, the disgraced astronaut's son. He's also going through a tough time. He took his car on a joyride. He just got a brand new car. He ran a bunch of... He did a police chase.
Yeah, what the fuck?
His stepdad, yeah. By the way, when Patrick Wilson's wife left him, she left him for Michael Pena, which is funny.
I was kind of surprised he did this movie. Or are you?
Yeah,
not?
I mean... I guess I am. I thought I have more respect for Michael Pena.
Well, as soon as I saw him, I'm like, oh, he's gonna have to have a whole thing. Like he's gonna have to be an embedded character somehow. Like they did it. They did keep introducing new characters, like with little like nuggets, and it's like, are we gonna go to the moon?
Yeah.
Are we gonna do we got to do the stepdad arc now? Like what's?
Yeah, it's like, I know you just lost your job, astronaut husband, but I hope you're prepared for this. I'm fucking Michael Pena. Like,
yeah.
So he's
a car salesman.
He's the rich stepdad, and that I theoretically we see a little bit of tension between him and Patrick Wilson, but it's brushed over very quickly. Again, everything is shallow and as and uncomplicated as you can possibly think.
Kind of spoon-fed, if you will.
His son's middle name when he's at his arraignment. He's like, police approach the bench. The city of California versus Sonny Neil. His middle name is Neil.
Yeah, okay.
Because obviously,
astronaut stuff.
Astronaut dad named his son after. Neil deGrasse Tyson, the king of space.
The emperor of space.
No, he named his son. He gave his middle name Neil after Neil Armstrong. Because why wouldn't he? Because he's an astronaut. Like,
astronaut fan.
I'm a drummer. Like, I gotta name my kid. Vincent Buddy Rich Tazo. Like I have to just name him after the most famous version of what I do.
That makes sense. You always name your kid after what vocation you do.
Yeah. This is
Buddy Astronaut.
I use my 90s word in my notes, but this is a Blank's version of Don't Look Up.
Oh yeah.
The moon is crashing into Earth. We have like our new it pops to like our news coverage. People are talking about like social media and stuff. We get a lot of like our story developing coming from, news chyrons and newscasts and radio stuff.
Yeah.
People are running away and they have the radio on and the radio announcer's the one telling the audience information. All that kind of stuff. That was the only thing we didn't have was like we didn't zoom in on tweets or Facebook statuses like we did in Don't Look Up. Which Don't Look Up is, again, a smarter version of what this movie is.
Well, I was kind of I don't know if I would have watched it if I knew it was going to be a like 2012 or Day After Tomorrow kind of movie where it's just like, oh, disaster around the entire world and we're just trying to escape. Like it's just a world indie movie. You know? I guess I thought it might be more about like aliens and like some sort of race, like alien race on the moon.
I mean, it was.
It definitely was, but it was really more of a disaster flick, really.
Yeah, for sure. It's just a disaster flick. The aliens that caused all this turns out to be artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Caused this whole thing. It's just a bloated kind of nightmare. Let me see. A few things. None of these jokes are like landing. It doesn't. It tries to be funny. It doesn't. There's only one joke that really made me laugh, and again, it doesn't even take the time it should have. But they have to. Halle Berry decides that she has to get Patrick Wilson, disgraced astronaut. He has to go on the mission to space. He's the only one that can do it because the alien or the thing that's attacking us is attacking everything with electricity. If you put electricity in space, if you put electricity and a living person next to each other, if that's what it attacks.
Humans and with electronics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which they tried to make a profound point about that was obviously ham-fisted and fell completely flat. That's all of us. That's what humans are. We're so addicted to technology. Oh, are we? Thanks.
Got it. Yep.
But anyway, we have to get the space shuttle out of storage. Patrick Wilson's the only guy that ever flew it without the electronics being turned on. He flew it like a fucking plane, just
like Sully
goosing up. Yeah. Just goosing up the engines of a space shuttle. So he's doing that. We got to get him into outer space. And so she goes, I'm begging you. Do it for
Get me Brian Astronaut.
Do it. She goes like, do it for the country. Do it for the planet. No, they never say planet. They always say do it for your country. Your country thanks you. Everything was very like your country. You're doing a great service for your country. Every time that
they didn't really show any other parts of the world.
No.
Like they didn't zoom into China and then everyone in China's like, or like,
they just
it's pretty much just America getting destroyed in parts of the world with no culture.
They kept saying just do it for your country. But anyway, so she's like, do it for your country. And she's like, just do it as a favor for me, please. It's like the last emotional thing she says. And then immediately the fat scientist nerd pops his head in the screen and goes, say yes, Brian.
Yeah.
Which really is funny. It is funny, and he did a very good job of delivering that line, and it made me laugh. He could have waited a second. He could have waited a second. We could have had like a serious kind of zoom in on Brian's face as he's like being contemplative and thinking about it, and then have him break that tension going in like, say yes, Brian. Mm-hmm. But it just happens immediately. He's like, do it for me. Say yes, Brian. It just, again, nobody takes a... Roland wants everything so fast. Nobody takes a second in this film. Every actor... I don't know. Every actor is like a low-rent version of somebody else.
True.
Because they would have killed for Chris Pratt to be the guy instead of Brian Wilson.
For sure.
Brian Wilson he's wearing the same Chris Pratt, like, whatever that button-up shirt with no collar. It's like a polo shirt that doesn't have a collar that Chris Pratt wears. Patrick Wilson's wearing that. Fat scientist John Bradley is the actor. He could have been he was obviously written for like Josh Gad, or he could have been.
Yes.
They wanted somebody more famous to be that. I don't know who they would have rather had than Halle Berry.
I mean, she's pretty up there, I would imagine. I was surprised she was in this movie.
Not now.
I guess.
Since when? What was the last thing she did?
That's true, but I would think that because she hadn't been in a lot, like maybe she was rating for like a really good role. And I was surprised that this was her choice.
I have no idea. I've got no idea what's going on with her, but clearly things aren't going well if she's doing this.
Got that paycheck.
And then it's like, how the fuck did they get Donald Sutherland for this? But then I realized it on the pod in real time, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, yeah, Emmerich and Donald already have like a...
Homies.
Yeah, they already have like a connection. But Donald Sutherland... Once Halle Berry takes her new I'm the boss name tag, and she goes and gets into the classified archives, and she finally sees like the helmet video footage of Patrick Wilson's of their flight from 10 years ago.
That NASA had.
They had
so
the
they
whole
knew
time.
that it was some situation that they couldn't explain. They knew that he should have been, released of all the charges.
Yeah, they knew he was innocent.
They just
that wasn't his fault.
That there wasn't an alien thing that happened and destroyed the, space shuttle. And she's like, oh my God, he was right the whole time.
Yeah, but here's what's extra dumb about it. Again, it just doesn't. Donald Sutherland, he's the old man. He's doing a very cool thing. He's loading up a gun because he's about to shoot himself until he sees Halle Berry on his security cameras looking through a box of files she shouldn't be looking at. He presumably doesn't know she got the boss name tag now. Anyway, he wheelchairs up to her and goes, "What are you looking at?" And she goes, "I'm looking at this." And he says this again. Another example of why are you saying she is the director? She is the acting director of NASA. 4.5 minutes ago, she was the number 2 woman at NASA. So she doesn't need this from you, Donald Sutherland. She doesn't need you to go. July 20th, 1969, one small step for man and all that kind of stuff. That's when we found out the moon was fake. She doesn't have to...
So even he knew the moon was fake.
Yeah, he knew from the beginning. Yeah. But what you don't have to do is tell Halle Berry the date of the moon landing.
She's an astronaut.
She knows when it happened.
Nobody knows anything unless another character says it.
Yeah. But that, again, that's for like the audience that Roland Emmerich thinks the audience won't know. But again, we
don't need to know the date.
We do know.
We do
and
know.
B, we'll figure it out. We'll context clues, but he won't let you do context clues.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I think that would have been, I will say too, if they knew that the moon was fake, that would have been the number 1 priority of like science and NASA, even under the shadows.
Yeah.
Like they would have been like, we actually figured out that it attacks electronics. Like that seems like a pretty easy thing to figure out.
Yeah. You know what else? Right. Exactly.
They would have been on it. They would have figured that out.
It would have solved the Cold War.
Yeah.
Because it could have been like, hold on.
We got to ban up.
We've got to Russia. I hate to stop our little fight here because we're both having such a good time, but we actually have to. The moon's fake.
We got a situation at the moon.
We went to the moon. We beat you guys. Look, you guys got the first 2, but we got the big one. Let's call it even. We're not even mad about it anymore because we got to the moon and it's actually a bigger problem than we thought it was.
It's a hollow boy.
Yeah. So, but anyway, it's just that kind of stuff. Let's look at a couple of things. Low rent. Sick ass hotel. Everybody goes to Colorado, which is pretty funny. Oh yeah,
that's what I would do.
Really?
Yeah.
To hide from the moon?
No, not the moon, but for anything else, I think I would do that.
Why? Because weed's legal.
So much weed. You're high up in the mountains. It's harder to get to. There's a lot of wildlife. Have you ever been to Colorado?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going twice in October.
Oh, yeah, dude.
But why? I mean, if the moon's crashing in, I want to go to
the beach.
I want to go to like Death Valley. What's below sea level?
Yeah. Ooh.
I want to be. The moon's coming down.
Yeah, but all the waves and everything are getting fucky.
Not in Nevada.
That's yeah. You want to go above sea level, wouldn't you?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm just trying to go away. I'm trying to get as far away from the moon as possible. If the moon's coming down, I got to go down.
I got to go down on the moon.
I got to stay 2 steps ahead of this moon. Anyway. But also, so the other thing is like Donald Sutherland talking to Halle Berry. She's like, "Why did y'all railroad Patrick Wilson?" And he's like, "He wouldn't play ball." But
did you tell him? Did you give him a chance? It sounds like you didn't talk to him about it.
They didn't ask him to play ball.
Yeah.
They told him, "You're fired because you made a mistake and killed an astronaut. You couldn't handle a solar flare." And he's like, "It wasn't a solar flare. It was a crazy black cloud of robots." And they're like, nah,
dude.
Solar flare. Dude. When did they? I don't. And Patrick Wilson's not like Patrick Wilson. At no point was he like, you guys know the truth and you lied.
Yeah, he's genuine.
He's like, nobody believes me.
Yeah, nobody believes me. I'm alone in this.
So that means nobody approached him to be like, hey man, you absolutely saw what you saw. It's not your fault that guy's dead. We need you to look. We're gonna give you some money and a fucking Land Rover and a beach house, and we need you to shut the fuck up about this. And he could have been like, "All right, fine. I'm retiring from the service.
Now I can keep my family.
Yeah, I'm retiring from the service.
Yeah,
spend more time with my kid, Neil Armstrong, my son.
Yeah,
and whatever." So it's just like, but they never even asked him that. So. The kind of stuff that they try to present later doesn't make sense because that's not what happened earlier in the film.
Yeah.
But again, Emmerich, he just glosses over stuff because he's dumb. It's very, very important. Anyway, let's see. We're gonna wrap this up. We're just talking shit on this movie now.
Yeah, I will say it was a very fun movie to watch for just how ridiculous it was. Because all the dialogue, everything that's happening is just so insane.
Oh, here's another one. So we're gonna do we're not even gonna talk about like what actually happens and whether they save the world or not. Here's what we're gonna talk about. Again, not Josh Gad, our scientist guy. He's around other NASA scientists and like they're like, we don't expect. Why is it not behaving the right way? And he's like, you still don't get it. We're dealing with a mega structure. Your rules don't apply anymore. You have to change your equations to update something else.
New math.
Yeah. And it's like, are you telling them or are you telling the audience? You're clearly just telling the audience.
Yeah.
That's the line to tell the audience, just don't pay attention to physics.
Physics are gone now.
We know that this movie makes no physics sense. Our character is looking in the camera and telling you your rules don't apply anymore.
Yeah.
He's telling us. He's not telling NASA. Organic matter in an electronic environment. That's basically us. That's humans. Deep. And the other thing that really, really got me, there's a couple more. The thing that really got me, so they're all looking for safety. The son, Patrick Wilson's son, and then Halle Berry has a foreign exchange student that lives with her and her son, foreign exchange student / like au pair, I guess.
Yeah,
nanny kind of thing, whatever. They're all together, and then they're trying to find Michael Pena, his stepdad, and his mom in Aspen in the mountains, and they go to their gated community, and some woman's like, "You can't come in," and she starts shooting at him, and then Michael Pena shows up. He's like, "Stop shooting! That's my stepson." Goddamn Karen.
Yeah.
Stop. So just white woman with a gun shooting a kid who's obviously like trying to get to my house. Her name is Karen because what else could it possibly
be another name?
What? As if
we don't have time for names.
We don't have again. Like she needs a name at all. He has to give her the name Karen because that's like a meme. It's like a cultural touchstone of
an annoying woman.
It's become that's become a caricature of a white woman causing problems for people.
Yeah.
But she's a woman with a gun shooting at an innocent kid because she's scared that he's a looter or a bandit or whatever. We had all the information.
Yep.
We have everything we need to know about it. But Emmerich has to drill it into your forehead.
Just so you know, we don't like her.
In case you were thinking she's our hero, I'm gonna name her Karen, and he just drills it into your forehead.
Yeah.
And then, that's it. It's just all dumb stuff like that. It's just everybody's a silly caricature. One thing that really got me laughing. So our scientist, whose name I can't remember, John Bradley.
John
Bradley, or his name is KC something. Anyway, scientist KC, when they're inside the moon, they're flying a little spaceship inside the moon, and
the megastructure.
Inside the megastructure, he's right. He's 100% right. He's been right all along. He's completely vindicated. He's like, it is a Dyson sphere. There is a white dwarf star. Everything I said that sounded crazy, it's all true. And he goes, oh, don't look at me. I might. He's like, don't look over here because I might cry.
Yeah.
And Halle Berry gives him Halle Berry gives him like this, what the hell, white boy kind of look.
Yeah.
She goes from being like a buttoned up NASA scientist to like giving him a sideways smirk, like yeah. It's so just her facial expression is so out of character. Like she has to be.
I'm pretty sure everyone would be surprised.
She has to be street for like 1 second, and also we're not all crying. Your son is dead. You know,
everyone's dying.
Everybody on Earth is dead, and you're inside an alien thing. And he's like, I might cry, and you got to look instead of being like, I think we're all gonna cry because we're probably gonna die because this is the craziest thing that could possibly happen.
Yeah.
Instead, she just puts on her like the hell you talking about like face. Yeah. Look at that face. It's funny. Maybe I'll find a screenshot of it. It made me unpost it. It looked funny. Anyway. Just dumb shit like that. It's very bad. Jimmy D.
Yes.
Would you recommend this movie?
I think I would recommend it for the wrong reasons. You know, I'd recommend it for its outrageousness and for how insane it is, and the ambition of this movie was pretty hilarious. Like the plot, everything. I would recommend it in a non-serious way, but not recommend it if you want to enjoy a movie that makes sense.
Yeah. I'm going to say don't watch it. It's not worth it. It's not funny enough. Again, if I was laughing constantly at how bad it was, I can maybe see that.
Sure.
But I only laughed twice out loud. One of them was just NASA on big letters on the screen, and the other one was the actual funny joke. But yeah, it's just not worth it. Don't watch this film. Stop giving Roland Emmerich films because he's made a bunch of bad ones after his 3.
He's got to be stopped.
Yeah. And he always has like big budget pictures.
I was surprised because this movie looked. I mean, I just think of like all the CG and everything that happens. It's like, fuck, there was so much of that. This all had to cost so much money.
I don't know. CGI is getting cheap because they're just not paying like VFX artists ever. They're just what did this movie? I'm trying to look up what
Tomato
this movie,
meter.
No, not that. I don't even care. What did this make? What was like the box office?
$40.
I know. I think this movie might have made. So $150 million estimated budget.
Wow.
It opened weekend $9.8 million. Its gross was $19 million. The worldwide gross was $44 million. It made less than 1/3 of the estimated estimated budget. This movie is a disaster. Never mind. I take it back. Give Roland Emmerich, Disney, hire Roland Emmerich and give him 10 films. Because
I could put him in the ground.
I want you losing $100 million a pop. I want him making a movie every month.
Yeah.
Never mind. I take it back. Emmerich, you're my boy. I hope you hope you keep working forever, and I hope you drive every studio into the ground like this. This is awesome.
Moonfall 2. There's
I take it
2
back.
moons now.
Yeah. Yeah, I take it back. This movie is good, actually.
Yes, we got there.
All right. Yeah, never mind. I didn't realize. There's, it's not. There's something called intent versus impact. Like I'm a legal aid lawyer. Anyway, Jimmy D, where can the folks find you?
Yeah, Sleepy Cowboy TX on Instagram.
All right. You can find me. I'm at Nick Tazo Drums on Instagram. I'm Nick Tazo on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter, please. And also follow Get Trashed Pod on Twitter. And follow Let's Get Trashed on Instagram, please. Like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Tell me what you like about this movie if you watched it. Or tell me, you know what, since probably you haven't watched it and probably nobody will, go watch or tell me about other Roland Emmerich films. I can, in the comments, talk to me about The Patriot, talk to me about Independence Day, talk to me about anything else that I can't remember. Let's do it. All right. Thanks, everybody. Let's get trashed.